Many American Jews are raised with a very simplistic understanding of Israeli history and a version of Israeli history that totally whitewashes the crimes of Israel against the Palestinians. But even though many American Jews do get this incredibly simplistic view of Israel, most American Jews at some point in their lives come into contact with Palestinian narratives. Either they meet Palestinian friends or have Palestinian professors. And what happens is that although some of them stay pro-Israel, the great majority, once they come into contact with Palestinian narratives, cannot unsee what they have seen. And they come to realize that, again, that Zionism essentially leaves no room for the Palestinians.
American Jews in most Jewish institutions are taught that Israel is something to be very proud of. Israel and the Israeli flag are, often everywhere in Jewish schools, in synagogues, and Israel is just seen as a part of Jewish identity. It's a place. We're taught that it's a place where you can go to be authentically Jewish and where you won't have to fear anti-Semitism. And Israel is portrayed as the salvation of Jews after the Holocaust. And for the most part, Palestinians are just left out of the narrative that young American Jews are taught. They're taught basically nothing about Palestinians, or if they hear about Palestinians at all, it's only in the context of terrorism, basically.
But support for Israel itself, sadly, really became the center of American Jewish identity. And so if Israel's support for a state is the center of your political identity, when someone criticizes Israel, people feel like they're criticizing your identity, which is ridiculous, right? When I criticize America, I'm not criticizing individual Americans. Yeah, Netanyahu is a fascist. He is someone who only cares about his own political survival and is willing to kill hundreds of thousands of people to remain in power. But Netanyahu's government is particularly messianic, particularly crazy, and particularly genocidal. Obviously, right after October 7th, the statements from key Israeli government ministers were clearly genocidal in their nature. And then as the weeks turned into months, it became clear that those genocidal statements were being turned into policy, and that the goal of Israel's operations in Gaza was to make Gaza uninhabitable and make it an impossible place to live.
When Israel commits horrific acts against Palestinians and the whole world sees it, that also creates anti-Semitism because obviously most people, I think, do actually understand there's a difference between Israel and Jewish people, but still, witnessing these horrific actions also makes people, promotes anti-Semitism in many ways. And so the idea that you would have to wait until everyone is dead before you can say genocide is ridiculous because the whole idea is to prevent genocide from ever happening.
Israel makes itself seem like it's the victim when we are the ones actually committing the most horrific crime. So absolutely, I think it's a genocide. It was not easy for me to say that initially, but it is crystal clear that what's happening is a genocide.